What if everything you loved was taken away? Your family, your freedom, your future. What if the very people who were supposed to protect you sold you like an object? This is not just a story. This is the most epic true story ever told in brick. This is the story of Joseph. In the land of Canaan, there lived a man named Jacob. He had 12 sons, but one son was different. Joseph, the 11th son, the one Jacob loved more than any other. Jacob gave Joseph something that would change everything. A magnificent coat of many colours. Bright, beautiful, unmistakable. But gifts given in love can become weapons in the hands of jealousy. His brothers watched, and they hated him. Not a little. They hated him with everything they had. Then Joseph had a dream. Not just any dream. A dream that felt like a message from heaven itself. He dreamed that his brothers' bundles of grain bowed down to his, like servants bowing before a king. And then a second dream. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars, all bowing down to Joseph. Even his father raised an eyebrow at that one. Joseph told his brothers, big mistake. The hatred burned hotter. The jealousy grew darker, and the brothers began to whisper among themselves. Something had to be done about Joseph. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers in the fields of Dothan. Joseph walked for miles through the desert. He was loyal, he was faithful, he had no idea what was coming, but his brothers saw him coming from far away, and the whispering turned to plotting. Here comes the dreamer, they sneered. Let's kill him, throw him in a pit, tell father a wild animal got him. Only one brother, Reuben, spoke up. Don't kill him, just throw him in the pit. He planned to rescue Joseph later, but later never came. They grabbed Joseph, stripped off that beautiful coat, and threw him into the pit. Then they sat down and ate lunch, while their brother cried out below them. Then a caravan of traders appeared on the horizon, bound for Egypt. And Judah had an idea, a terrible, life-changing idea. Why kill him when we can sell him? 20 pieces of silver. That's what Joseph was worth to his own brothers. 20 pieces of silver. And Joseph was gone. Joseph arrived in Egypt as a slave. Everything he knew was gone. But here is what his brothers didn't understand, and what you need to understand. You cannot bury someone God has chosen to rise. Joseph was sold to Potiphar, a powerful Egyptian official, captain of Pharaoh's guard. And something remarkable began to happen. Everything Joseph touched succeeded. The crops, the accounts, the household. Potiphar noticed. He didn't know why, but he knew this Hebrew slave was different. So Potiphar did something extraordinary. He put Joseph in charge of everything. Joseph went from slave to manager, from nobody to the most trusted man in the house. But success, as Joseph was about to learn, has a way of attracting dangerous attention. Potiphar's wife wanted Joseph's attention. She pursued him. Again and again, Joseph refused. I will not betray my master, Joseph said, and I will not sin against God. But a woman scorned is a dangerous enemy. She grabbed his cloak. He ran. She screamed. And when Potiphar came home, she held up that cloak and told a lie that would destroy an innocent man. Potiphar's rage burned. Joseph was thrown into prison. No trial, no defense, just chains and darkness. But even in the prison, the Lord was with Joseph, the warden noticed, and just like Potiphar before him, he put Joseph in charge. From the pit to the slave house to the prison, Joseph kept falling, and God kept catching him. Time passed. 2 years in that prison. 2 long, dark, forgotten years. Then Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker were thrown into the same prison. Both had dreams they couldn't understand. Joseph saw their troubled faces. Tell me your dreams, Iki, he said. God can interpret them. The cupbearer dreamed of a vine with 3 branches, grapes pressed into Pharaoh's cup. Joseph said, in 3 days, you will be restored to your position. Please remember me when you get out." The baker dared to hope too, but Joseph's interpretation of his dream was not good news. In 3 days, exactly as Joseph said, the cupbearer was restored. The baker was executed, but the cupbearer? He forgot Joseph completely for 2 more years, 2 more years of silence, 2 more years of waiting, 2 more years of trusting God in the dark. 2 years later, Pharaoh himself had a dream. 2 dreams that shook him to his core. 7 fat, healthy cows eaten by 7 thin, terrifying cows. 7 full heads of grain swallowed by 7 withered, scorched heads. Pharaoh called every magician and wise man in Egypt. Not one could explain it. Then finally, the cupbearer remembered. "There is a Hebrew in the prison. He interpreted my dream perfectly." Joseph was rushed from the prison, cleaned up, brought before the most powerful man on earth. Pharaoh leaned forward on his golden throne. "I heard you can interpret dreams." Joseph stood tall. "I cannot, but God can." And then Joseph laid it all out with stunning clarity. 7 years of incredible abundance, followed by 7 years of devastating famine. "Store the food now," Joseph said, "or Egypt and the world will starve." Pharaoh stared at this young Hebrew prisoner standing before him, and he made the most unexpected decision of his reign. Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God? Pharaoh rose from his throne. The entire court held its breath. He walked down the steps toward Joseph, reached up, and placed his own signet ring on Joseph's finger, then a gold chain around his neck, fine linen robes across his shoulders. "You shall be in charge of my palace," Pharaoh declared. "Only I myself will be greater than you." Joseph, the boy thrown in a pit by his brothers, was now the second most powerful man in the world. In one moment, one divine appointment, everything changed. The pit, the slavery, the false accusations, the prison, the forgotten years. None of it was wasted. All of it was preparation. The 7 years of abundance came. Joseph stored grain like sand on a seashore. Then the famine hit. Not just Egypt, the whole world. And in Canaan, Jacob heard there was grain in Egypt. He sent his 10 oldest sons to buy food. They arrived in Egypt, dusty, hungry, desperate, and they bowed before the governor of Egypt, faces to the ground. Joseph recognized them immediately. His heart must have pounded, but his brothers? They had no idea they were bowing before the boy they had sold. The dreams Joseph had dreamed as a teenager. They were coming true, right now, in this moment. Joseph turned away to hide his tears, then pulled himself together. He had a plan, not for revenge, something much more powerful than revenge. After a series of tests, too long to tell today, Joseph could hold back no longer. He cleared the room of all his Egyptian servants, and then, in a moment that shook the palace walls, he wept, loudly, uncontrollably, the governor of Egypt, weeping. He turned to his brothers and said the words that would echo through eternity. "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" The brothers froze, terrified, unable to speak. "Come close to me," Joseph said gently. "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. But do not be distressed or angry with yourselves, because you sold me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. Not you who sent me here. God." In one sentence, Joseph rewrote everything. Pain became purpose, betrayal became plan, and he ran to his brother Benjamin and embraced him, and wept, and then embraced all his brothers. Word was sent to Canaan, the message that changed everything. Joseph is alive. He is ruler of all Egypt. Come to him. Jacob, old Jacob, who had mourned his son for over 20 years, could barely breathe. His heart fainted. Then the life came back into him. "My son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." And when that chariot rolled into view, when Joseph saw his father across the distance, he ran. The second most powerful man in Egypt ran like a child to his father. He fell on his father's neck and wept for a long time. Jacob whispered, "Now I am ready to die, since I have seen for myself that you are still alive." Joseph's story is not just ancient history, it is a message written directly to you. When you're in the pit, remember Joseph. When you're falsely accused, remember Joseph. When you're forgotten and overlooked, remember Joseph. Because what your enemies meant for evil, God is turning for good. The pain you're carrying right now, it is not the end of your story, it is the preparation for your purpose. Joseph waited 13 years from the pit to the palace. 13 years of trusting God in the dark, and not one of those years was wasted. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs it today. Subscribe to Bible Brick Tales, and remember, you cannot bury someone God has chosen to rise. See you in the next episode.